Hello and a very warm welcome back to the Potters Pundits, and we're back after the international break. In a way, a much needed break and recover for Schumacher's men after a 3-0 loss against Norwich. But it's Easter weekend coming up. Good Friday and of course Easter Monday are our fixtures, and up first we're on our travels against playoff chasers Hull, who are a fantastic side, a great manager, and of course a sold out crowd. So it's an exciting one. It's going to be a proper championship tie, but a real tough test for Schumacher's men. So let's head straight into it. Now, as I mentioned, 8 games left for this Stoke side, and it doesn't come much tougher than a side who are waiting to be in the playoffs. They have every right to be there. They're only in 7th at the moment, but they're 3 points behind Norwich with a game in hand. So they want to get them 3 points as soon as possible. And coming off the back of an international break, they want to make sure that they make the most of it. And they have every right to be there. They really do. At the end of the season, when you look at it, and if they are in the playoffs, you can't argue for them because they've got so much quality. Liam Rosenior deserves all the plaudits he's got because he's coming to a championship side that maybe needed a different style of play and it hasn't worked out before. They've shown glimpses of what they can do, and now he's just put the icing on the cake. He's done fantastically well there, and they have every right to be in that playoff surroundings. But also, their recruitment, it's been absolutely superb. It really, really has. The likes of Jadon Philogene-Bidace, of course, an ex-Stoke player who, at the end of the day, maybe it didn't work out for him during that kind of lockdown period where we had quite a few really good players. Stoke did. They really, really did. Jack Clark, another winger who's having a good season in the Championship. He really is, and deserves his plaudits as well. During that kind of lockdown couple of seasons, we had quite a few good players, but didn't really get to the best of where they could do, and we didn't really fulfil their potential. They've moved to a different club and they're doing superbly, especially Philogene-Bidace. He looks really, really good, a talented player, and he's still only young, so he's still learning, and it could be a real threat for this Stoke defence. Also, Zahori as well, Carvalho, loads of players that, you know what, Hull have recruited really, really well, and players that are young, that are hungry, and also know what it's like to be in the Championship. At the end of the day, they've done it before, so it looks like it's going to be a real tough test. Liam Rosenior's got his players working well, but could it be the international break a little bit of a curse for them? Kind of broke up that momentum. Now, Hull are 7 games unbeaten at the moment, but the last 4 games, they've been a draw. So it's one of them where they need to be picking up points, more 3 points than just a point. So hopefully, for me, I'd absolutely take a draw. I really, really would. It's away from home. Luckily, we've got our sold-out away crowd who have been fantastic this season. They really, really have. And we'll get behind them, and hopefully that correlates on the pitch. But this Hull side are really, really good. They really are. I feel like the game against Leicester, they even had chances to win it. And this is the Leicester side that Stoke lost 5-0 to. At the end of the day, when Stoke played them, they didn't really have any chances, did they really? Not really too many to happen. And it was all about Leicester, and in a way, they didn't really come out of second or third gear, if I'm being totally honest. So it's another real tough tie, but it's one of them where Stoke need to build momentum against a side that are looking to get in the playoffs. They're hungry to get there, and the international break potentially will break up their momentum, but they want to bring it back. A packed out crowd, going to be a real tough tie. It really is for us, but I hope we'll be up for it. I reckon we will be. From minute one, it'll be a tough game. This whole team will absolutely be up for it. They really will. So it's an exciting one, but maybe a nerve-wracking one to see which Stoke side comes out of the blocks. Unlike Hull, maybe the international break was a blessing in disguise for the Stoke side. It's one of them where I just don't feel like after that Norwich game, it did us any favours at all. It's one of them where, yes, you can lose, but with a positive display. And it's one of them where, yes, we didn't pick up the points, but at least we showed a little bit of battle. But after the games previous to this Norwich game, we were superb. We really, really were. Especially that Preston game where we got the 3 points in the bag. You then welcome the visit of Norwich, who are a fantastic side. Maybe get a point, and then it's building up them slight points that make the difference in the relegation places. But it was a really poor game. It really was. And I don't like to dwell on bad performances, but we were sloppy, we got punished, and at the end of the day, we were so open. We really, really were. I mean, they've got bags of quality, and they took it at the end of the day. We got punished for mistakes, whereas other times in this season, we haven't done. And we did this time. We lost 3-0. And Norwich showed exactly why they're the opposite end of the table to what Stoke are. It was as simple as that. It really, really was. But going into this game against Hull, I think Schumacher will be a bit more optimistic. It's given us that time to say, right, okay, who's up for the fight? Because at the end of the day, this is going to be a massive battle. Yes, you could look at the remaining fixtures and go, oh, well, they're in and around us. They're not in good form. But if we're not going to battle and come out, then we could be absolutely down there coming the last 3 games of the season. So a massive dogfight coming up. And it doesn't get tougher than this. It really doesn't. I think Hull are up there for a reason. They've got bags of quality. And like Norwich, they will punish us for our mistakes. They really will. So it's a real tough one coming up. And I think Hull, Southampton and West Brom, out of the 8 games that we've got, are the 3 big ones against tough sides. But going into this one, I'm going to say I'd take a 1-1 draw. Maybe it is a little bit optimistic because Hull do have loads of quality. They really do. And it can annihilate us just like Norwich did. I think on our day and after this international break, it's one of them where Schumacher's seen, right, which players are up for it. For me, I'll take a 1-1 draw. I think maybe Hull might deserve to win, like maybe 2-1, but haven't taken their chances. And hopefully we can stay strong, make sure we correct the mistakes that we made against Norwich, and I'll take a point going into Easter Monday, where it's an even bigger test against Huddersfield, where we need the 3 points. We really do. A draw for me would be the correct result, but it could be a real nervous one. And after the Norwich game, maybe they show their talent as well and show exactly why they're in the playoffs. So on to our lineup now. Of course, the question that I ask every week is, what formation are we going to go for? Because we could either go for the 3 at the back, the kind of 3-4-2-1 formation that has worked and of course has been used by Schumacher quite a lot recently, but also the 4-3-3, which maybe caters to different players, caters to the opposition, or also allows us to exploit teams in a different way. But I don't know, it's a tough one because either way you go for it, it's both got benefits and negatives to it. So in a way it might be personnel and whatever Schumacher feels like. But going into the international break, he was kind of using that 3 at the back with Luke McNally, Michael Rose and Ben Wilmot. So it's one of them where, right, okay, he wants to stay strong at the back. But after the Norwich display, we were really open. We really were, and it wasn't good to see because when you got 3 at the back, you expect to be strong and tight. And after the first goal, the one where Josh Sargent was so open, he really was. It's one of them where we don't want to look back on it, but Schumacher's had his time to then look at what went wrong and how we could then make sure that we correct it. And I think he'll go with the 3 at the back against this side who will be really attacking. And this time I feel like we just need to wake up. We were sloppy, we weren't away, and we didn't do anything really. It was kind of poor from us, and I think all the players know that. This time they'll be away. They're ready for this dogfight that's coming up for us. Daniel Iverson in goal for me after the Norwich game. I feel like he put in some good saves. Easily, it could have been 5 or 6-0. And I'm looking back at the highlights. You look at how many chances they had. There's quite a few. And for their goals, I don't really think you could say he's at fault for them. In all fairness, it's sloppy defending, it's silliness, doing the basics right. And we didn't do it, but we looked past that. And Daniel Iverson in goal, keeping us there nice and solid at the back. And hopefully he can keep a clean sheet. Now, with the defensive 3 at the back, of course, they speak for themselves, really. Luke McNally, Michael Rose and Ben Wilmot. Of course, the Norwich game, they won't want to look back on it, but I don't want to talk too much because we've seen glimpses of how good they are. All 3 of them are good. They need to stay strong and compact to make sure that they're picking up the players because this is a young, hungry Hull side that will really want to go at you. So they need to stay strong, make sure we're not as open as we were against Norwich. Schumacher's had his time to then get what's right and what's wrong about that Norwich game and go, right, we need to do this, we need to do that, and make sure that we don't do the same mistakes that at the end of the day we're punished by the Norwich side that showed every quality that they have. Onto our wing-backs now, and it's one of them where it depends on the style of football we're going to go for. Are we going to go for a bit more offensive or a bit more tight, a little bit more defensive, a little bit more compact? After his displays recently, he's been really, really good. And even if we played a 4 at the back, I'd absolutely play him on the right, and that's Keanu Hoover. He's been superb. I mean, he nearly scored a great goal against Norwich, going up the pitch, probably from the halfway line. He's been superb. So right wing-back for me, for him, he just really has been good. I've liked his display. He showed us what he's capable of. and Stoke fans know what he's capable of. We really, really do. But then over on the left wing back role, it's obviously all based on whatever the team news is, in all fairness. Now, Schumacher's going to be doing his press conference tomorrow, and this is obviously filmed on Wednesday, and it just means that obviously I don't know who's injured, who's a doubt, who might just be rested. So I'm going to go for Lyndon Gooch if he's not injured, because I feel like he's a good player. He's nice and defensive. Will know to stay compact, and against a very tricky Hull side with some fantastic wingers, we'll need to make sure that we're nice and compact. If he's injured, after of course coming off against Norwich, I'll go for Jordan Thompson. Of course, played for Northern Ireland last week, so he's got the fitness still up. I just feel like it makes sense him being there. Of course, Enda Stevens is also in the club as well, but maybe, I don't know if they're resting him or if he's back on grass. I'm not too sure with it, but either Lyndon Gooch or Jordan Thompson, I feel like it's just a little bit more defensive, and I prefer us to be a little bit more defensive with the rest of the players that I think will be in the side. The two defensive midfielders, I'm going to go for Lewis Baker and Josh Laurent. Now, Wouter Berger, who has been superb for us this season, he really, really is on his second game of his 2-game suspension. So he'll be back for the tie on Easter Monday, but against a Hull side who have bags of quality and can create so much from the midfield to then switch it to the wings, will need to take control. And these two players are battling fantastic individuals who have both that defensive side and of course the attacking qualities that we need. Whether it's where Hull are going to take the possession, we need to then get the ball up the pitch to the quality, and they're the two that can do that. So we need to get at them. And when you're saying about getting out of second gear and waking up from minute one against a very, very up for it Hull side who will be motivated, these are the two that can absolutely take the game to them. So for me, Lewis Baker and of course Josh Laurent. The two ahead of them, there's a bit of a tough one because, of course, with Berger not being at the kind of back, you don't then have Josh Laurent playing the more advanced role. Who do you go for? Do you go for a bit more defensive, which in a way sounds silly because the two attacking players, but if you go defensive, we then have an extra body in midfield that makes us a bit more compact? Or do we go for a more attacking quality that when we're then in possession, we can break at them fast and make sure that this defence aren't as kind of nice and at ease as the Norwich defence were? So for me, I'm going to go for Beidrono on the left and Manouf. Real quality from both. They've been away for the international break, and both of them have been superb. They really have. That strike Manouf did for Netherlands on the under-21s, superb. And hopefully you can do that against Hull. But it just means that we've got that attacking flow when we're then breaking on them or having our own possession. We've got the quality and the threat, because how many times have we done well quality-wise at the back, then tried to move it up forward and we've lost it, and it's just been the story of the game. Both of these two players are fantastic young individuals, bags of quality, and I feel like against this side, hopefully they can threaten that whole back line. And then finally, who starts up front? I feel like I say it every week, but this time there's more options. Ryan May is back in the side, so has the international break come at a right time for him? Is it giving him the chance to go, Schumacher, get me in the side, I'm going to get you the goals? I'm not too sure. You don't know what happens behind closed doors, who's up for it, who wants to battle, and I feel like during this international break, the person or players that have shown what they're made of and show that they want to be in this relegation scrap would have done so. So the international break came at the right time. When I'm looking at this game, Hull will have possession. They'll want to keep the ball, and of course at home, the home side will be at ease if they've got the ball and they're looking threatening. But also, when I'm thinking offensively and defensively, I'm going to pick Niall Ennis. Now, Tyrese Campbell has started the last couple of games, in all fairness, and it's one of them where against a Hull side, do we need to make sure that we're getting in through the lines, and on like a counter-attack, Tyrese Campbell might be a good one for them one-on-one situations. But when I'm looking at the game and where the battles might be, I feel like Niall Ennis will be a better option, just because when we're kind of out of possession, him running about and kind of threatening this whole side, I feel like he'd do better at it. That's all I'm going for. But he's also put the ball in the back of the net, has got bags of quality, and if we're going to counter-attack on this whole side who will want the ball, it's a good option having Niall Ennis up there. And of course, Tyrese Campbell off the bench would be a great option. Now also, Ryan May as well. It's one of them. He could come straight into the side, and I don't think you could have any argument, because he's shown glimpses of what he can do. All three of them have. We need a player putting it in the back of the net, and we need it soon. So I feel like Schumacher will know exactly who's the person to lead the line, and I feel like it's just personnel for this game. It really is, and I'm going to go for Niall Ennis leading the line. So with that, the team I'm going for is Daniel Iverson in goal, with Luke McNally, Michael Rose and Ben Wilmot as the back three. With the wing-backs, it's either, of course, Thompson or Gooch on the left, depending on if Gooch is injured or not. Over on the right side, I'm going to go for Keanu Hoover, with in the middle, Josh Laurent and Lewis Baker. Ahead of them, I'm going to go for Bae-Jun Ho and Manouf, and then finally, leading the line. Hopefully, he can get his goal. He did it against Blackburn, and hopefully, he can continue that. It is Niall Ennis. But it really is all to play for. Loads of players will be knocking on Schumacher's door. The likes of Mehdi Lloris, Luke Kundal, Andre Vidigal, Haksabanovic, players that, you know what, with the international break, maybe have gone, right, get me in this team. I want to prove myself. We've got 8 games left. I want to show what I'm made of. I feel like I can be him. Andre Vidigal, Haksabanovic, players that, you know what, with the international break, maybe have gone, right, get me in this team. I want to prove myself. We've got 8 games left. I want to show what I'm made of. I feel like I can be a man. So you never know. You never know how this international break went in the training ground. Fans and, of course, the manager will all be together for. So a real tough game against Hull. One that we need to be up for. But I feel like Schumacher knows exactly how to do it. Good Friday. Hopefully it is very good. I'd take a draw. I really, really would. But until then, I'll see you guys later.